Disclaimer, in the first like 3 or 4 minutes of this video, my mic has an awful popping noise anytime I say a number. That goes away. So 2022 was a pretty decent year for about everything besides Kanye.
I see good things about Hitler also. The Jew, I love everyone. I'm done with the classifications. Every human being has something of value that they brought to the table, especially Hitler.
But for movies, this year was actually pretty fantastic. I mean, we had Robert Pattinson doing his sexy brooding man thing. We had amazing Gen Z commentary, horror comedy with jokes about the unfair treatment of the middle class.
Your parents are upper middle class.
No, they're not.
Jordan, they are. They teach at a university.
It's public.
And of course, we had not one, but 2 jackasses this year filled with a whole lot of that. But just in general, this year has been really lovely for movies, and I'm going to go over my entire new release watches, including the ones I loved and didn't. This list boils down to about 35 entries, so some of these are just going to get kind of one-sentence explanations. So starting our list last, we have Persuasion. It was this like Netflix original romance thing. I really was not paying attention, but it wasn't good. Number 34, we have Fall. 47 meters down, but with a tower and worse acting and a worse plot. '33, we have The Gray Man. I thought this was awful. I didn't even finish it. I got about halfway through. Hated what I was seeing. Ryan Gosling doesn't do anything here. The action is unwatchable. No, like you literally cannot see anything going on. '32 is the new Doctor Strange. Thought it didn't do anything and was pretty weak. '31 is Our Father. It's a documentary. And I forgot to mention that I'm including comedy specials and documentaries in this list, but Our Father was uninteresting and creepy with audible noises of men ejaculating in the back. '30 is Incantation. It was a super slow and underwhelming horror movie. '29 is the Harry Potter special. I don't know why this is here. '28 is We Are All Going to the World's Fair. I thought this encapsulated living online pretty well, but really didn't do much else. I'm really going to start going fast now. 27 is Turning Red. It didn't appeal to me, but still fun. '26 was Windfall. I liked the actors and the performances in this, and some of the story beats. It's pretty fun. '25 is Girl on the Picture, really underwhelming true crime series. '24 is Tinder Swindler. I actually liked this a lot. Super interesting and kept my attention the whole time. Would be higher if it wasn't just a docuseries. '23 we have Genius. Moving on. In '22 we have Bullet Train. Didn't laugh a single time and thought the comedy was overused. Brad Pitt also didn't really give an interesting performance. However, Aaron Taylor Johnson did, and I loved him in it. And at 21, we have The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. I love Nick Cage. That's about it. This film isn't that great, but it was fun. Coming in at number 20, we have the last Norm Macdonald special titled Nothing Special. I just started really getting into Norm's comedy, and he quickly became one of my favorite comedians at the end of last year and the beginning of this year.
I prefer the Indian casinos. That's what I like, because I don't want to give my money. If I'm going to lose money, and I'm going to lose money, I don't want to do it in Las Vegas to a bunch of corporate businessmen. I would rather go to an Indian casino and lose it to the Native Americans.
and hearing of his passing was really disappointing as I knew comedy had lost a massive powerhouse this year. However, out of his passing, we got his final comedy special, and it had all the love and comedy shown in other work, even with the limitation of him being at home and with just a laptop screen. '19, we have Keep Sweet, Pray and Obey. I liked it a lot. It made me really hate Warren, the main person. I hope he is burning somewhere. I'm just gonna say I liked it a lot, and just link my friend Claire Griffin's article below. She kind of goes more in depth about it. At 18, we have Jackass 4.5. I'm a huge Jackass fan, and seeing the second part of Forever brought me a lot of happiness and laughter, and that's about all you can ask with a Jackass movie. '17 is Elvis. I really don't want to talk about Baz Luhrmann because I do not like his directing style. I think it's kind of ugly, but Austin Butler is a massive draw to this film, and he does incredible. I really would not be mad if he won the Oscar. And even at points, Baz's directing style of just the most out-of-place editing and literally everything makes so little sense in his movies. Works kind of well, but I found the editing atrocious. Tom Hanks, not even going to talk about him. He does so bad in this movie. His career has really fallen off the deep end. '16, I have the Inside outtakes. Inside was one of my favorite things I watched last year. Call me white if you will, but it's true. And so seeing basically Inside 1.5 was exciting and pretty great. '15 is Men. I enjoyed it more than most people this year, that is for sure, and I liked the message behind it, so yeah. 14 is Fresh. I really like this movie. I saw it like 3 times this year. It was really fun. The performances are great. All the story beats are really engaging. This movie has a really great way of keeping you watching it the entire time. A lot of twists and turns. Super fun. '13 is Jackass Forever. I mentioned earlier that I'm a huge fan of the series, and just seeing all these people come together for one last go was really fun and brought me a lot of closure to the chapter filled with pain, penises, and a lot of poop that was Jackass. Number 12 is Barbarian. It's an unexpected fun journey of a horror movie that is just kind of ruined by the ending. Again, performances were pretty fun, pretty great. Yeah, that's really all I have to say about Barbarian. Just barely not cracking the top 10. At number 11, we have Mad God. It's an incredible accomplishment in stop motion animation, and it took Phil Tippett 30 years to make, and that certainly shows. It would make it into the top 10 if it just had a bit more story and character work, but obviously a silent stop motion film is kind of hard to include these things, so the visuals in this film honestly easily drive it to number 11. Beginning the top 10 is Glass Onion. I loved the first Knives Out, and I felt this one was a lot of fun, but just not as good as the first. They are both very different. I love how this one kind of tackles the elite in a way, because the first one kind of did, but not really, honestly. And the people in this movie have a genuine effect on the world, especially Edward Norton's character. There were great performances all around, and really fantastic directing from Rian Johnson. The only reason why the first Knives Out is kind of ahead of this one is I honestly liked the performances in the first one a lot more, and the mystery was mostly right in front of your face this time, and almost to a great degree, as it was so obvious that you may not expect it, as I didn't really expect it, because that thought of, well, I'm not going to say it, but the thought of this person doing it was kind of always in my head, but it was just right there that, like, you would never really expect it. Number 9, we have a personal favorite for me, Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. It's an insanely funny, bloody, and Gen Z horror film that perfectly dissects the hypocrisy and utter lunacy of this generation of iPad kids. Loved every performance. even you, Pete, and I can't wait to see more from this director. If you don't know how this movie ends, please watch it. And even if you do know how it ends, watch it anyways. The ending is just the most... it's the greatest ending you could possibly imagine to something that is filled with this much Gen Z-ness. At 8, we have The Batman. I really liked Robert Pattinson's performance in this, and Batman is easily my favorite superhero, so seeing this dark and brooding world through the eyes of Matt Reeves was a lot of fun. Obviously, Paul Dano is lovely as the Riddler, in my opinion. I saw some people didn't really like him as the Riddler. I don't really get it, but there were great fight scenes and utterly amazing cinematography and music that really drove this film to the top of this list. I just liked the new take on the Batman. It's kind of this like loner kind of guy, which obviously is how he is in the comics, but it hasn't really been shown in film before. Seven is Gerard Carmichael's Rataniel, and if Inside didn't exist, this would certainly be my favorite comedy special ever. It made me cry of laughter and sadness both times I watched it, and being able to perfectly juggle comedy and sadness is something that these incredible young comedians are learning to do with such precision. Please watch this if you haven't. You won't be disappointed. Even if you're just looking for a funny comedy special, this has it. And if you're looking for something much more personal, this also has it. Number 6 is Jordan Peele's Nope. In terms of actual talent, Nope is probably Peele's most impressive work to date. Every plot device is perfect, and it's everything you could want out of a message or a point. It is equally an ode to cinema as it is a political statement. But even just besides that, the cinematography and just sections with the alien are incredibly fun and gorgeous. All around fantastic performances again. I feel like I've said this like 20 times on this list, but from literally everyone. Daniel Kaluuya, Keke Palmer, Brandon Perea, a new actor that I'm really interested in, Stephen Yeun, and even the Creep, Michael Wincott. Just a really great film. I've seen this 3 times now. I honestly wouldn't really say it's a horror movie, which is kind of great. It diverts from the things that Peele has been making and is an unexpected kind of left turn, and that's kind of something he needed in his career. The way that he kind of takes this massive trope of a flying saucer and turns it into this own kind of being is really interesting to watch unfold on screen. Starting the absolute best of the year at number 5, we had The Northmen. I love Robert Eggers, and this Viking story was my most anticipated of the year, and it certainly did not disappoint. Everything in this film flows so perfectly, and the way it tells its story is one that is sure to keep your interest throughout the entire thing. The action is dark and gruesome when it's there, and the dialogue is incredibly written. I actually got thrown out of the theater when I went to go see this movie because I was like, it was literally like 2 hours before I turned 17, but it's the one time that they checked my ID, of course. But even besides that, getting to watch it in the theater the next day on my birthday was pretty incredible. Just again, I can't wait to see the more things that Robert Eggers is making, as all his films have this dark draw to them that really isn't found in many other places. Number 4 is The Banshees of Inisherin. This film has some of my favorite landscape shots, probably my favorite landscape shots of the entire year, and the best dialogue written this year for sure. Thank God for subtitles, because no way me and my brother would have been able to understand a single word said in this movie. There were some great performances this year, and this film is no exception. I loved everything in this movie. It had me and my brother laughing the entire way through, and its message of friendship over selfish art is obvious, but executed in such a fun and telling way. Really, really great. At number 3 is On the Count of 3. No, that was not on purpose. I loved Gerard Carmichael, and seeing him and Christopher Abbott on the screen was nothing short of breathtaking. Similarly with Carmichael's Rataniel, this film balances some pretty heavy topics such as suicide and mental health problems, and it does it in a way that isn't offensive, and instead just adds to the conversation. I cried to this movie, as I'm sure many others did, and I want to see Gerard Carmichael direct more often, because this is just absolutely right up my alley, and every bit of this film was perfect to me. It balances emotion with comedy pretty perfectly. Gerard Carmichael is obviously very good at this, as we saw in Rataniel, but just every story beat and just the idea of let's live our life to the fullest because it's our last day on Earth is something that's sad, but obviously something they figure out later in the film is utter lunacy. Number 2 is Bones and All. I made a full-length video about this. I really like this movie. The more I sit with it, the more I love it. But again, I made a full-length video on it, so just go and watch it, you ungrateful swine. Number 1, I have... Wait. Just slow down. This is the number 1 spot. Can we get some sound effects? Okay, it's Everything Everywhere All at Once. If you know me, this comes as no surprise whatsoever. This film is the driving force in me wanting to become a filmmaker. I saw it and immediately told everyone about it and recommended it to basically anyone around me that had a soul. Of course, I bring up the fact any chance that I get that meeting Daniel Scheinert was one of my favorite things I've ever been able to do, and talking to him about my dreams and passions and how Everything Everywhere shaped those dreams and made me believe they were possible. But even besides my personal connection with the film, in general, this film is absolutely perfect. It has the most creative directing from anyone I've ever seen, and the story is full of multiverses and confusing subjects, but somehow they make everything make sense. The comedy is some of the greatest used in a film for me personally, and the messaging of family and using the time you have now, as well as not regretting your actions, is something I connected to heavily. The action in this movie is perfect. The way that it shows different directing styles through going to different multiverses, such as the absolutely gorgeous Wong Kar-wai multiverse, is just fantastic. I love everything about this film, and it's undeniably the most creative thing made this year, and I absolutely cannot wait to see where the Daniels go next. Thank you for listening to this list. I'm sure it was really long and pretty annoying, but thank you for sticking around if you did. I hope you enjoyed it, and that's it. So listening back to this voiceover, I really did not talk about some of these films enough, but if they're in my top 10, trust me, I loved all of them. I will link my article to Everything Everywhere, as I feel like I go really in depth in that review. I'll also link my article to Men. Again, I feel like I go in depth in that review a lot. But again, thank you very much for watching. It's currently 5:24 p.m. and I started this video at about 10 a.m. this morning. So I've worked really hard on it, and I hope you enjoyed it. That's it. See ya.